Hey Bulldogs, Chris Bryant here. I just flipped over here because I wanted to make sure to put an S right here next to video practice questions because as often happens with my labs, I've got one question for you and at the end of it I've got four for you. So I've got quite a video practice exam here for you. What I'm going to do is bring up the live equipment here in a moment, ask you a question about a config. Just let me know what you think. Is it legal? Is it illegal? If we need to fix it, what do we need to do? And then on the whiteboard, I've got a couple of questions for you as well. So you might want to pause the video a couple times, give yourself a little extra time to work on these questions, but let's go ahead and dive right in. With this route redistribution on router 2, is this a legal config, and is it going to give us everything we need as far as visibility of subnets, that kind of thing? What do you think there? And if you want to pause the video, feel free to do so. Like I said, just take that into consideration, whether this is a legal config to begin with, because that's a great practice exam question. And secondly, let's look at these questions regarding route redistribution. Because what we're doing there on router 2 is performing two-way route redistribution between an EIGRP autonomous system and an OSPF domain. Now on the OSPF routers, which happen to just be router 1 in this case, when we look at router 1's routing table, what is the exact default routing table code for the routes being learned from EIGRP? Now, vice versa, over on router 3, which is an EIGRP speaker, when we go over to router 3 and look at the routing table, what code are we going to see next to the routes being learned via route redistribution? So a lot going on here. Let's go ahead and dive back to the live equipment and take a look at this config. And as you can see, and I'm sure you nailed it, this is perfectly fine. A couple of very important details to watch out here with route redistribution though. When you're redistributing routes into EIGRP, there is no default seed metric. So we've got to specify one. With EIGRP, we have two different ways of doing that. We could use the metric command at the end of the redistribute command, which is what I did here, or we could just use the default metric command period under EIGRP and just say for all routes being learned, this is the default metric. But one way or the other, you've got to specify our metrics. Now with OSPF, we do have a seed metric. So here's another question for you. What is that seed metric? It's 20. So we don't have to worry about setting a seed metric. We can change that, but that's a subject for another video. What we do need is this word subnets, because it's not required. When you perform redistribution, if you've seen some of my other videos on this topic, you know you can leave subnets off, but you probably don't want to because otherwise you're not going to see your subnets. So this configuration is perfectly fine, and we've gone over some very important details with route redistribution metrics there. Let's go up to router 1. And we'll look at the entire routing table. And we can see immediately some OE2 routes. You know immediately that those are the routes learned via route redistribution. And I've got these covered in another topic on a YouTube video. I'll make a practice exam for them as well. But a little homework for you here, my friends. Make sure that not only you know what the default is for routes redistributed in OSPF, but you know the exact difference between E1 and E2 routes, because I can guarantee in one way or another that is going to rear its ugly head on your exam. Now for router 3, we have these DEX routes, and again, you know immediately those are the routes being learned via route redistribution, because D is simply for native EIGRP routes. And if you see an EX after that, you know it's external. You also know by the administrative distance, because with OSPF, there is no change in administrative distance when you redistribute routes, but with EIGRP, redistributed routes redistributed into EIGRP, that is, are going to have an AD of 170. Native EIGRP, with the network command, those are going to have an AD of 90, and the summary route will have an AD of 5. So a lot of little details going on there with route redistribution, but again, the default OSPF code is going to be OE2, and over here it's going to be DEX on the EIGRP routes. Just wanted to mention one more thing if you'd hang in there with me. Thank you so much for your wonderful support of TBA, and this is the biggest summer in our history. We've grown out to the Udemy site now. We're offering all of our courses there and some new ones coming up as well. If you are looking at the CCNP Route course, make sure to watch the preview video. I do have some free videos for you here at the very beginning, and there is a discount code there. I would just give it to you here, but it does change over time. So make sure you check that out. And of course, our website, this one's been fine, but it's overloaded with info at this point, as we all know, so the new one is coming very shortly. And while you're here, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're at 6,341 subscribers right now and growing every day. So thanks so much for that. I'm Chris Bryant. Thanks for watching today's CCNP Route Video Practice Exam.